Hello and welcome to the daily study of the Way of Mastery. Today we continue with Lesson 2, You Create Your Experience. Section 3, Peace Flows from Alignment with the Mind of God. And we're going to start with paragraph 10, where Jeshua says, Why is this important? Because a long time ago, the soul began to create the perception that it was something other than it was created to be. And the voice for ego emerged within the garden of consciousness. As the soul, that deepest aspect of mind that you have all known, began to identify with a voice that was other than the voice for God, that voice has led you to believe that your creations determine your worthiness. Do you know that feeling? So Jeshua's language, again, very specific, talking about the soul began to create. So the soul, made in the image and likeness of its creator, is designed to create. And it created the perception that it was something other than it was created to be. So it's like, oh, I'm separate. It's just a perception. It's not truth. But it created that perception. This voice for the ego emerges within the garden of consciousness. And as the soul, you began to identify with a voice that was other than the voice for God. We all have that voice in our head, right? And that voice has led you to believe that your creations determine your worthiness. We all can relate to that. What we do or don't do determines whether we're worthy or of love, of acceptance, of happiness, of peace. I mean, that is a predominant theme in our culture. So Jeshua relating to what we know, right? If you create something that isn't up to snuff, isn't good enough, doesn't work out the way that you want it, maybe isn't liked by other people, it means that you, in the core of your beingness, are some kind of failure. Now, it doesn't mean that, but that's what we've given the meaning to it. And in some of the work I do with professional athletes, it's a big part of their growth is separating their performance on the field with their value as a human being. Because so much of the attention that we get, the accolades, the value that we receive from others, from our parents, from society, from our friends and our peers, is when we accomplish something, we get a lot of attention, a lot of praise, a lot of validation. It's not right or wrong, but we see that and we want more of it, and we incorrectly tie that to our value as a person. But Jeshua says in reality, failure is not even possible because everything is neutral. If you plant the seed in the garden and it doesn't thrive, like, again, he's taking total responsibility. That experience is a creation and you've done it. But it's not good or bad, he says. It's perfectly neutral. So there's never any failure. And so he goes on to say in paragraph 12, the only failure seems to occur within your own consciousness, when you believe that it is not acceptable to receive and own and embrace your creation with love and with innocence. Instead, you can choose to look upon it, to experience it, and to recognize your perfect safety in doing so. For it is from there that you can decide whether to continue in that form of creation or whether to think differently and to approach things differently. So Jeshua is saying the only failure seems to occur. So it doesn't actually occur, but it seems to occur in your own consciousness when you believe that something that you've created is unacceptable. Now think about how that really frees us up. If we could operate in this thinking that no matter what we create in our experience, it's not wrong or bad. We can own it and embrace it with love and with innocence. And then, as he says, we can decide whether to continue in that form of creation or think differently and approach things differently. So if you don't like your current situation, let's say your finances aren't where they want to be, are you willing to just accept and own that this has been a creation of yours? Because it's in the resistance to be like, no, this shouldn't be. I'm doing something wrong. I'm wrong. If I'm unworthy, I'm wrong. If there wasn't something wrong with me or I was worthy, I wouldn't be struggling financially. And we create all of this meaning around it. And Jeshua is inviting us to accept and embrace and love what we've created and say, okay, I've created this experience of struggle, of financial lack, and I'm going to choose a different experience. I'm going to start thinking differently. I'm going to start affirming abundance. I'm going to start taking responsibility for my choices. I'm going to learn a new skill to add more value to then make more money. All of these different things, and approach this whole scene differently. And Jeshua continues, that is where the catch is. That part of the mind began to teach you a long, long time ago what to accept as acceptable creations and what not to accept, what to take responsibility for and what to deny responsibility for. And that conflict creates the illusion of separation. When taken to its extreme, one discovers your hospitals full of those in deep depression, paranoia, and the feeling within the being, within the human mind, of feeling alienated and alone. So basically saying what you experience, if you judge as not acceptable, you're going to suffer. That's basically what he's saying. And he says that you can accept all your creations. You can accept your experience, take ownership that on some level, I've created this through my thoughts, through my word, through my action, through my perceptions, through what I focus on, through what I reinforce, through what I value. But I can accept and then make a different choice. Instead of denying responsibility, instead of placing the blame out there on other people, on my past, on my situation, on all of these external things outside of myself. And he says, and that conflict creates the illusion of separation, that there's outside and then there's me. There's a universe and then there's me. There's the economy and then there's me. There's authority, then there's me. There's my family, then there's me. So this section here really invites us to accept and embrace and bring love. It doesn't mean you have to like, but bring love to all of our creations, all of our experience. And for us right now, that takes effort, that takes work, that takes discipline, that takes commitment. And sometimes we need a community and other people who are also making the same choices, because it can be hard doing it alone. So if that's something that you need, find someone else who is studying the way of mastery, or just on a path of wanting to become more conscious, more aware of what's motivating them, wants to be more aware of their reality as love and wanting to be a force of love in this world. Thanks for listening. If you get value from this, please like, subscribe, or share with someone who you think will get value, and we'll see you tomorrow.